get over to this window. Okay. All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Boozer. I'm with CUGC HQ. And I'm happy to welcome you to today's presentation. We're going to be talking about Citrix and ServiceNow and how you can go from zero to hero, which is what everyone wants to do, I know. But before we get started, I have a couple of announcements for you. Our next Excel and Exchange events are coming up. The first is our Northern California Exchange event. It's going to be at the Citrix headquarters in Santa Clara. So if you're going to be in that area September 13th, we'd love to have you stop in. Our exchange events are more technical deep dives than our Excel events. The sessions are a little bit, like I said, more of a deeper dive, but a little longer. And they really are hyper focused on very specific technology. So definitely check out the agenda. I'll put a link in the chat for you in just a minute. Also, after that, our next Excel event, which is our full day event, is Great Plains on October 4th. That's in Omaha, Nebraska at the Charles Schwab Field. So we hope you can join us for one or maybe even both of those. If you want to travel, you're totally welcome to. Also, if you haven't joined our Slack channel yet, we'd love to invite you to join in the conversations out there. You can scan that QR code and you can get signed up into the public channels right away. And then if you'd like to join your private local group channel, you can fill out a form to do that. And just let us know what group you're affiliated with and who you'd like to talk to, and we'll get you set up. So hope you join us out there. I also just have a couple of housekeeping details for you. We are recording today's session. I'll send you a link to the recording tomorrow. It'll come in email, so be on the lookout for that. Love to have your questions today, so type them in as you have them. There's a Q&A panel just for questions down there, and then we also have the chat panel so you can chit chat and say hello to each other. But do type in your questions. We're going to get to as many as we can today. All right, so I'd like to introduce today's presenters. We have Amir Trujillo. I think I might have said it correctly, or maybe not. We went over this before we started, and I said I'm not going to butcher it, but I might have. Amir is a Citrix Product Specialist Engineer for Cloud Software Group. Hello, Amir.
Hey, nice to meet you, and thank you for joining this webinar today.
Thank you. Also with us, we have Antoin Carroll. He's a Product Specialist Engineer, also with Cloud Software Group. Hello, Antoin.
Hey, everyone. It's Stephanie.
All right. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to you, Antoin and Amir, to get going. I'm going to stop my screen share. There you go. And let you guys pick it up, and I'll be here if you need me.
Okay. Perfect. Can you see my screen? It should be on presentation mode now.
Yes.
Okay, so welcome everybody. So let's talk about today Citrix ITSM adapter service and the integration with ServiceNow. And the goal today is to give you a good understanding from scratch. You don't know anything about the integration of Citrix and ServiceNow to feel comfortable on the deployment. So again, I'm Amir Trujillo. I've been working with Citrix for almost 5 years by now. And before that, I was a Citrix administrator. I'm a Citrix customer for 15 years. I'm going to pass it over to Antoin.
Hi, everyone. Yes, thanks, Amir. Yeah, Antoin Carroll is my name. I'm coming on nearly 8 years now working for Citrix. Started my days in support before moving into customer success. Yeah, now product specialist engineer this year, moved across. So yeah, working on the same team as Amir. So yeah, I look forward to the presentation. Thanks. Back to you, Amir.
Thanks, Antoine. So the agenda for today, we're going to start keeping it simple. First, the end user experience, how it looks like for a employee to utilize this integration with Citrix and ServiceNow, how to self-service the most common features that we have, and talk about a little bit of architecture and the configuration of this solution. And then we're gonna move on with the administration side of the house, how a Citrix administrator will manage all the features and some use cases that we have had in the past with other customers. So let's begin with obviously the question, why Citrix and ServiceNow? And as you know, everybody's an end user. When you join the company or you start a new role, you require new hardware, new software, all the tools that you need for your daily basis. And to do that, you need to ask for it as part of the process. And that's where you realize the life cycle of a ticket. You create the case, you report an incident, if it's for a software or it's something that it's not working as expected. Usually the help desk team handles this and identify the correct team to assign the case, and they resolve it. So on a Citrix environment standpoint, we can talk about this session. And when something goes wrong in a session, obviously as an end user, you have to call the help desk, and you're going to be waiting 10, 15 minutes until the first representative picks up the phone. It's like, okay, starts talking about the problem or your request, all the script from a level 1 support team. And it can take about 30 to 45 minutes until they figure out what's the real problem, and they assign it to the Citrix administrator team. And also this team, the Citrix admin, takes some time to resolve the issue. So it could take you an hour or more to have your problem solved. So the scenario where you're going to be frustrated, you won't be able to move on with your task. It's going to be just a waste of time. But with Citrix and ServiceNow together, you're going to be able to self-service and either request any service, any desktop or application, or a troubleshoot and resolve most common issues. As part of this integration, that's where everything happens, and we can reduce the wait time from those 30 to 45 minutes to less than a minute. How do we do that is integrating all the tools that you already have. It can be Microsoft Teams or Slack. You can utilize your ServiceNow mobile device. You can use the chatbot virtual agent that is integrated on ServiceNow and the regular ServiceNow portal. And what happens here is that this integration between Citrix and ServiceNow has an automated workflows that will allow to automate the incident creation from a ServiceNow standpoint, assign it to the Citrix team, and also you, as part of the workflow, self-service and resolve those most common problems. So as a summary, we have out of the box some of the features such as session resets. You can request applications on desktops. You can deprovision resources that you no longer utilize. And the flexibility that ServiceNow has, you can create your own custom workflows and add them to the Citrix capabilities as well. So now I'm going to just show you how this looks like from an end user standpoint. And this is my personal laptop. It can be a bring your own device. It can be a corporate managed device, so it's not a big problem. And the first thing that we have to care about is a single pane of access. We have our workspace app in our device, and that's going to be the window to access all our resources. We can provide access in a secure way to ServiceNow. End user doesn't have to remember any other URL or go to a separate portal. We can just publish direct access from Workspace app. And from that point, say what type of security I want. I want a single sign-on experience, or I want to challenge my user to authenticate to ServiceNow. So for this demo, I'm just gonna sign in with my ServiceNow credentials to have a better user experience. Now, as an end user, I'm not alone. I have first knowledge base. I have articles that will help me familiarize all the features that I can do with Citrix. To give you an example, I can have some information about how to request a desktop. And if I go to this base of knowledge, it will give me all the step-by-step that I'm going to do on the wizard on ServiceNow. Same thing with other features. I can session reset. It's going to walk me through the process. I'm going to be familiar with what I'm going to see as part of my request. So the Citrix administrator will be able to add as many articles as they want, specifically for the business unit or just general speaking from the Citrix standpoint. So going back to the Citrix features that we have, first on the right bottom corner, we have my virtual agent that it's automated. It's going to be a conversation that will ask me what I want to do with my Citrix environment. If I want to request a desktop or an application, if I want to report an issue, or if I want to reset my session. Same thing, I can do it from another side, more familiar. It's a request something, and this is going to show me all the different options that I have from a Citrix standpoint out of the box. Remember, I can do more flexible stuff with my customized workflows, and it will show up here. First, I can request a desktop. I can do a session reset, request applications as well. I can do a power management of my virtual machines, self-service or troubleshooting, most common issues, and reset my profile as well. So I'm going to show you how to request a desktop. This is a live demo. So you are having all the end user experience online. I'm looking for what virtual desktops are available for me and my role. So it's telling me that I have a large, a medium, and a small virtual desktop available to request. This request can be managed by my Citrix administrator. It can be pre-approved as part of the workflow, or ask the manager to approve, because probably that's a matter of cost that you have to justify the reason why you need a large virtual desktop. So I'm going to select small type, and I'm just going to submit it. Behind the scenes, what is happening, it's that the workflow is running, all the pre-approved process, it's completed. I can take a look into my request here in any moment. And at the same time, if I have configured my mobile device, I'm going to get a notification when my resource is available. So I can have quickly a break. I don't have to wait until next day or two to get everything up and running. And see, in less than a minute, I have access to my virtual desktop through a ServiceNow. I'm going to start my virtual machine to show you as an end user my enrollment to my new activities, to my new team. It's in 5 minutes, and I'm up and running. Now, the other feature that I want to show you is the self-service for troubleshooting sessions. I'm going to do a session reset because probably, let's say, my peripherals are not working. Probably my printing is not working, or my keyboard is in hung state. So I'm going to just request a session reset. Again, I don't have to call the help desk. That is usually what everybody does. You create a support case and you just ask for a session reset. So as you see, automatically, ServiceNow started searching for all the sessions that I have active under my user account, and it found my Windows 10 virtual machine that is active, and that's a session on my desktop. So basically what I'm going to do is just log off from the virtual machine, And just to refresh my session, I'm just going to hit it submit. And in a matter of a few seconds, it's going to sign me out. Again, didn't have to wait 45 minutes to have this done. Pretty simple and pretty easy for the end user standpoint. Again, I can go back, start working with a fresh session, and my ticket is going to be closed. Now, the other thing that I want to show you as part of the request something that is part of the out of the box things is request application. Again, it's going to be the same process as requesting a desktop. I'm gonna search for what applications are available for me. And in this case, I have Access and Visual Studio. I have configured this on my demo to request permission from the manager or approval for the manager. So it won't automatically will show up on my workspace app. I have to wait until my manager approves the access because it has a cost. So I've just submitted the ticket. And as part of my request, I'm just going to be waiting for the resource to show up on my workspace app. And last but not least, the other feature that I want to show you is a Power Managed Virtual Desktops. Let's say that's a end of the week or it's Monday morning, I want to power on my virtual machine. So it's going to tell me the virtual machines that I have assigned, the power state, and what's the action that I want to do. So I'm going to select this medium virtual machine that I have running again, and it's going to ask me what I want to do. If I want to do a reboot, if I want to shut it down, or if I want to start it. So I'm just going to just shut it down, submit. And what is going to happen from a technical standpoint, this machine is going to be powered off. If you are running on Azure workloads, there's going to be just power off, deallocated, and you're going to be saving money as well. All right. And last but not least, if something goes wrong and you already did all these as an end user, obviously you have access to escalate an issue and just skip the line from the help desk standpoint. So you can just select if it's an issue from an application or a desktop. And let's say my desktop went to blue screen, or it's just in hung state, I can't do anything at all. So I'm just going to report an issue, and I'm just going to set my desktop is not responding. And I'm going to hit submit on my request, and the ticket is going to be automatically assigned to the Citrix administrator group. So again, I can be productive in other things and don't wait on the phone for a help desk representative to start working with me. Okay, so this is it for the end user standpoint. And now what I want to show you is how this is achieved from a technical standpoint. So from an architecture and configuration standpoint, we are talking about two cloud services. We're talking about ServiceNow and your instance and the Citrix Cloud ITSM adapter. In one hand, from the ServiceNow standpoint, we're going to require the orchestrator plugin to be enabled to start to make available all these features and to configure or install the Citrix ITSM connector plugin that you download from the ServiceNow store. What it's going to do, it's going to create tables on your ServiceNow instance dedicated for Citrix resources. It's going to be dedicated for licenses, information for VDAs, and access, read access only to your studio console. from your Citrix environment. And from the Citrix Cloud standpoint, you don't have to install anything. We already have installed this adapter on our control plane. And one of the things that we have is the flexibility of this solution. You are going to be able to manage your cloud environment if you're running all DAS environment, or you can integrate your on-premises sites by site aggregation. And the other thing that we can do is monitor and manage your ADM solution for networking purposes as well. So what happens in between the communication between both? This is going to be through in one side with an OAuth endpoint on ServiceNow, and from the other side with all the API communication between both Citrix and ServiceNow cloud services. From the prerequisites, basically you only need administrator permission from the ServiceNow console standpoint. You don't have to be the administrator. You can ask your ServiceNow admin to help you to create the OAuth endpoint and to do the integration with Citrix. From the Citrix cloud standpoint, you require admin permissions, and the most important is to confirm that you whitelist the IP depending on the region that you are working. And I can tell you, we can summarize this integration in 4 easy steps. The first one is to enable the service, the ITSM on your Citrix Cloud console, install the ITSM agent, and activate the orchestrator plugin. And if you want to manage your on-premises sites, do a site aggregation on Citrix Cloud. Now, I'm going to jump to the configuration part. First, I'm utilizing my developer account for this demo. So the first thing that I have to do is to activate the orchestrator plugin easily. I just search on the activate plugin bar for the orchestration. I already have it active, but you click on activate, and about 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to run in the background, and you're going to receive an email with the notification that it's ready. And you'll see something here that it's in progress. The next step is to go to the ServiceNow store and download the Service ITSM Management Connector. So basically what I did here is a search for Citrix. It automatically took me to a Citrix path to download, and I just have to get to click get on this icon. Probably it's going to ask you to log into your account, and also what I recommend you to do is to check on the compatibility of this. We currently support Utah, Tokyo, and San Diego versions of ServiceNow. So just make sure that you have this. And also you are able to access all the documentation base of knowledge from both sides, from Citrix and a ServiceNow for this connector. And also you will see all the key features and enhancements that this version has. So we're constantly adding features. It's in constant development. So all the latest and greatest, it will be on the here on this page. Now, I'm going to show you here what you want to see as part of the Citrix Cloud integration. And I'm going to start with what's the final result. The final result, that's what you want to see. It's on the Manage tab. See your ServiceNow instance listed here, and utilizing, if you have DAS service architecture or infrastructure and on-premises environments. In this case, I have my cloud environment and 2 on-premises sites managed by ServiceNow. How you do that? I'm just going to change to another tenant that I have that it's not configured, so I can show you from scratch how to do it. So easily, the first thing that you're going to see is a welcome a dashboard. And on the manage it tab, you're going to be able to add a ServiceNow instance. By default, it's going to list as the Citrix Cloud because you're running this on the DAS console. And when you click add a ServiceNow instance, it's going to ask you for this. You're a ServiceNow URL, a client ID, and a secret. This client ID and secret is the information that you are going to get from your OAuth endpoint that you are going to create on the ServiceNow console. And I'm going to show you how to do it. And the ServiceNow URL, it's just the URL that you usually use for administration purposes. And you just add it here. So I'm going to move to the other console, to the ServiceNow one, just to create the auth endpoint. You go here and just to do it from scratch, you just type auth here, and you're going to create an application registry. You can create a new one, and this is going to be a OAuth API endpoint for external clients type. And here is going to ask you for a name, friendly name, whatever you want to do. CUGC webinar, let's say. Automatically, it's going to show you the client ID, and it's going to ask you for the redirect URL. Here, you're going to utilize this redirect URL that shows as part of the integration. And then going back here, you just paste it and submit it. Automatically, what it's going to do, it's going to give me my client ID and secret that I'm going to just copy and paste here. And I'm just going to hit connect. I'm not going to do it in this environment, but the final result, as I said before, is going to be having your ServiceNow instance listed on your Citrix Cloud console. Here. All right. And I'm going to when you complete this process, the last thing that you're going to see, you will have access to the Citrix IT Service Manager connector with all the features available as a Citrix administrator. You can have access to request services, to the dashboard, and all the monitoring features that you have. And Antoin is going to talk about all these features, use cases, and what's next. So I'm going to pass it over to Antoin.
Thanks, Amir. So much. I'm just going to share my screen now.
Yep.
Oh, great. Thanks. So I guess everyone can see my screen now. Administration and features. Yeah. Okay, great. So, yeah. So just to follow on really from Amir and what he's covered, we've been looking at really from I suppose, an end user point of view. So we're just going to flip over to the other side of it now and take a look at the administration perspective and review some of those features that Amir has been speaking about. So as I said, yeah. So I mean, just to summarize, really, kind of how we access that. Amir has touched on it. We just go into the ServiceNow tenant. Obviously, then we select all, and then we go in and we can see obviously then what Amir has been alluding to there. You can see the Citrix plugin which he installed. With the various options available then, which we're going to drill into a little bit more. So we just have a couple of slides just to touch on a few points, and then I'm going to go into the console itself and go into through some of the individual selections that you can go in and customize these features here. So yeah, so I think this just really kind of just highlights the different roles that you can select when you're defining a particular user. So these would be the typical kind of users that you would define. So in our example here, we have three specific users, and as you can see, there's going to have each particular user is going to have different access to the different workflows that are available. So these are the out of the box workflows that are available. And as you saw when Amir logged into the end user, as an end user, he had the far right permissions set and role where he had those workflows. Whereas obviously an admin then is going to have a little bit more than, let's say, a help desk. So an admin, as you'll see, which we'll touch on in a few more minutes, will be the likes of workflows such as being able to process employee separation or deprovision a static desktop. And I have an example of that, which I'll show you in just a few moments. So there's documentation that obviously then that will allow you then go into the ServiceNow console. You go into the users. I can touch on it in a few moments, and that's where you go and select. You go and enter in your specific roles, ITSM roles and permissions. So yeah, I think again, just to sort of summarize, you go into the select all. This is the Citrix ITSM drop down. That's specifically from the plugin itself, and then those options you select virtual apps and desktops, and then that would give us the visual then of obviously those specific workflows available for that user. Yeah, so I mean the whole thing really is optimizing your operations and delegating. Delegating Citrix admin tasks. So for example, as I said in the example here, obviously then adding machines via MCS, deprovisioning desktops, role-based access. So they're the kind of things you can do, actions that you can do. Whereas I said, then you can also go in and manage the operations. You can look and see you've access into the various published desktops, machine catalogs, because you're integrated with Citrix Cloud. So again, we'll touch on this now in a few moments when we go into the console. We'll run through them a little bit more. So yeah, then obviously with successful integration, then you're going to be able to plug into the different services. So CVAL alerts, then obviously then that will import the alerts that you have set then in your Citrix monitor, which again we'll touch on in a moment. We'll just give you a view of that. Also Citrix Cloud notifications. You're able to get notifications from Citrix Cloud as well. We'll show you that. And then ADM events, so pulling in events then from your ADM tenant as well. So we'll take a look at that. One of the new features which we're going to show you now is the ability to integrate with status.cloud.com. This was a recent feature that was introduced. A great feature. So yeah, status.cloud.com obviously gives you the status then of particular services then in the different regions of the Citrix services. So obviously some services are going to be critical to your environment, and then that ability to be able to go in and trigger an event where you can go in, and if in the event of a service outage or service disruption, you can trigger an event. So that's a really cool feature that was brought in was in the last couple of months. So yeah, so again, when we log in, we'll log in a moment, but just Amir obviously then synced up with one cloud service. You can obviously then have several different cloud tenants. So this is an example. Obviously there, in this example, we have 2 cloud tenants here in this one. Yeah, so some of the features that we're able to do then as individual users, then we can go in and report Citrix failures. So for this particular user, obviously we can go in, select the user, and then select the available desktop or application, and then basically log a ticket. We can have a title. We can select where we want to request it, put in the machine name and a description, and give a bit more of a breakdown. So this is just one example of one of the out-of-the-box workflows of the ability to be able to deprovision a static desktop. So if I just press play here, something earlier on. But yeah, so again, just when we flip over to the Citrix Cloud side of things and we go into a delivery group, you can see this particular machine has been associated with one of my users, well, Antoin, the Antoin user. So again, flipping back over to the ServiceNow side, I go to deprovision a static desktop. I select that particular user, and I select the delivery group. Detect it'll find my live session. I go in and can select that, and then instead of removing the desktop, I'm going to opt for keep the desktop but remove the user assignment. So again, automating this by just submitting. That is done. If I flip back to the Citrix Cloud portal, now you can see obviously then where my user was assigned as Antoin. If I go back in, see edit, I go to machine allocation. Now, obviously, it just takes a moment to update, but if I go in and edit it again, the machine allocation, you'll see that my user now has been removed. So again, a very quick and easy way of quickly deprovisioning a static desktop from a persistent machine. Sorry, yeah. Okay, so what we'll do now is we will just flip into the ServiceNow console. I've logged in. I've logged into the admin portal. So I'm going to go to all, and then I'm going to go in. Obviously, then here's my Citrix plugin. Sorry, Citrix plugin. So obviously, if I select home, then this is where I can see the different tenants that Amir mentioned earlier on, and then obviously you can see that we are connected currently to our product specialist tenant that we use for testing. Just worth noting here that as changes are made on that particular tenant, we can have the option here to refresh data and just perform a data synchronization, immediate data synchronization. This usually occurs every hour, but if you want to trigger a data synchronization or refresh data, you can hit that button and that will enact that. So then obviously there's a few things here in terms of what we're going to look at. So user requests, sorry, if I just flip firstly over to maybe services first, I can go in, and this is obviously what I was looking at in the PowerPoint. I can see I can select virtual apps and desktops, and these, as I said, are the list of out-of-the-box workflows that are available. And as I said, based on the permissions, the role permissions that you define the user, they're going to have access to more or less. So as I said, I'm logged in as an admin here, so I've got the full set of the out of the box workflows. So as I said, some of Amir's is covered already, and this one here obviously was the example I gave a few moments ago of deprovisioning a static desktop. I go back. That's basically the services. Just to point out, actually, sorry, you are able to edit. You can obviously customize your own workflows, and you can go in and do that through the workflow through ServiceNow and customize specific workflows. These specific ones have been developed and are there out of the box, ready to go. So obviously, yeah, more customized workflows is something you can do as well. So if I go back, so we've looked at services. Obviously, then from the user requests, we've got the user requests bucket here, where we can kind of go in and take a holistic view of all those different tickets that have been created effectively, where we can see some of the ones that we've been testing around with over the last while. Request a desktop, yeah, so the different ones, and you can go in and you can assign them accordingly as well as an admin. So for example, I think there's one open one here. I said request a desktop. You're able to go in, open the record, and then you can assign to different states, or sorry, different users or groups within your admin team, let's say. Okay, so yeah, we mentioned earlier on then the alerts and notifications. So if I go into alerts and notifications, yeah, so this is where obviously then we can define, yeah, break down these notifications either from Citrix Cloud, Citrix Cloud Health Incidents, which we touched on earlier on, ADM events. I see a few ones probably here. I think we should see a few here that we've tested with, and CVAL alerts, which are ones that will be pulled in from your virtual apps and desktops. There is policies that you can create. So again, if you go back into the plugin, you go to configurations, then you can select your CVAL alert policies. So these are alert policies that are so that it basically imports from your directory. I did have. Just going to show you just from the other side. I'll just show you an example here. So if I flip over to the Citrix Cloud portal, you'll see I've logged in my DAS tenant, and I've gone in under the monitor and delivery group policies. You'll see I have a particular, I've created just a test policy, failed DAS machines, Antoin ITSM test, but again, you'll be able to see that has been pulled in to my ServiceNow tenant as well. Yeah. So these are the different policies that, again, obviously then, as I said, we've been testing away, we're pulling all these different alerts. Sorry, if I go to Studio dashboard, the ability to be able to go in and take a look at all the Studio information that we've available for the tenants that are associated with. So published applications, published desktops, machine catalogs, delivery groups, and application groups, which we can pull in that data as well. However, Amir alluded to it earlier on, the ability to be able to, as you can go in and select specific machines or applications that you want to make available for request. So you would tick that box here and make it available for requests. You can also then, which Amir mentioned as well, enable automatic approval. So rather than just sort of allow a user just available request and go straight ahead with that request, you can enable automatic approvals. So, so bypass in terms of getting it sort of, let's say, signed off by management effectively. So you would go in on the individual desktop or applications and set accordingly. So that's Studio alerts, services, deprovisioning list. As I said, one of the, if I go back to services, just one of the available workflows, which is really cool. One is process employee separation. So this particular one allows you, as an admin, go in and deprovision any kind of applications or access, reclaim any applications or desktops a particular user has. So the ability to be able to remove them from any delivery groups. That will give them access to applications and desktops. So you just put in the user, you search it, and then you can remove that user. So really cool way of doing that. But as I said, one of the things then, sorry, when I go back to the provisioning list, you can kind of go in and you'll see those list of users that are being deprovisioned. And finally, the one I wanted to sort of touch on then as well is the statistics report. So as those tickets are coming in from the various sources, you're able to be able to go in and then look over a period of time and break down the specific requests that you get. So for example, request a desktop, reset a session, which is so request a session in our tenant is obviously the most requested workflow, whereas I said resets follow short, not far behind by reset a session, but it basically allows you then kind of go in and review all the different associated requests that are coming through. Equally, you can kind of see the trends as well, and those as well who are requesting the most users. So I think they're probably the most, probably that's the main topics I wanted to touch on that. So if I flip back to the summarize really in terms of the use cases, so really kind of to recap really, self-service. So the ability like that, as you can see, provide automated self-service to reduce the service desk calls, increase overall IT service satisfaction. You can see in some of the tasks that we've done, it's the automation ability that dynamic capacity to adjust based on user requests and service insights to reduce total cost of ownership. Centralized event handling, and particularly that ability to better go in and move tickets to the correct admin, Citrix admin, let's say, all from the one portal. And then obviously the customization aspect then as well. Firstly, kind of breaking down the specific roles, whether, as I said, be a help desk, Citrix admins or end users, that ability to customize those. But equally as well, then you can go in, as I mentioned earlier, that go in and customize your own workflows as well. So that was really kind of my key points there. I suppose the main kind of word really is automation. It's just that sort of sign off really on this. Just that ability to use the two in conjunction together and take that heavy lifting things by automating Citrix workflows and operations. So that's it really for me. So I mean, I think we'll move over back unless any questions or queries. We'll go to Amir if you have anything else to add.
I think he's been busy typing answers, but there's definitely
probably a few
questions coming in. And there's some in the chat and there's some in the Q&A panel. So
cool.
Take a look at those.
Yep.
Cool. We'll find them. I'll stop sharing the screen for a moment. Yes, I can see the questions now. There was, yeah, just to sort of mention it, I think not sure who it was, but there was a question about the ability to sort of select different languages, something we may have to take offline and come back. Unless Amir, that ability to be able to change the portal view in the languages. I'm not, I mean, I don't know that you can't certainly do it from the Citrix admin plugin, but it'll probably be more of something on the ServiceNow side, unless you've come across that one before.
Okay. Let me see. What question was that?
That was ServiceNow is in English only. So when you go into the ServiceNow portal, that ability to be able to change languages.
That yeah, that you can configure your ServiceNow depending on the language you want. That's a ServiceNow configuration.
We'd have to check. So I'm not sure who
Yeah.
asked the question, but it's something that we probably need to check on the ServiceNow side. Good question though. Yeah, so something I'll check.
I have one from Jeremy on the Q&A chat. If this support can be categorized as incidents, actually it creates a request, and the request is just closed by automatically. What you can do to create an incident, it's with the monitoring features that Antoin showed to trigger actions as create an incident. But based on user actions, no, it's only a request only. I get the timing bot, what is communicated to the user about the wait time, say when resetting a Citrix session. You can do your base of knowledge article based on your test. And as you saw on the demo, it took me 30 seconds for a session reset. So probably you can be a little bit more put a little more longer expectation and say, you know what, it's going to take 5 minutes instead going to the help desk phone number.
Good question there, Amir. Came in a few times actually about it being available for on-prem. Yeah, and I suppose just to answer that, I suppose again, clarify again, it's a cloud service, so you would require Citrix DaaS premium license, but you can, as I said, in terms of you can do site aggregation to include your on-prem environment for that to utilize, pull in your on-prem environment. Just wanted to clarify.
So far, you can just integrate with site aggregation your on-prem environment.
Yeah.
I have another one that's an interesting scenario about the capacity planning from Graph. Hopefully I don't mess up the name. This solution is based on your Citrix administrators. So with you take care of the capacity planning. Basically, if you want to assign static desktops, you previously created those desktops, and from there you just make it available for all the users and specify to what Active Directory group you want to assign the resource. But yeah, you take care of the capacity planning. We have more. We have one that it's sometimes sessions take a while to terminate. Does this plugin take into account for that time and give feedback to the user when it's done? Basically, when the session is gone, or completed, the request ticket is going to be closed, and you're going to get a notification, and you will be able to relaunch the desktop or application. So yes, you get a notification that it's completed.
Sorry, on mute. Anonymous attendee there just pinged in there. If we're doing site aggregation, how are the reset and provisioning commands sent back to the on-prem CVAD DDC? So I know obviously then we communicate to the Citrix cloud via API, but guess, I mean, yeah, I'll probably have to look in terms of, yeah, but I mean, it obviously utilizes APIs, but in terms of the commands are communicated back to on-prem CVAD. Probably have to just clarify maybe what way that's done specifically. But a good question.
I have yes, a comment here. 90% of the issues reported by Citrix users are non-Citrix related ones, like networking, apps, the database workstation. So the auto workflow will not be able to resolve those issues. Yeah, actually, we are just talking about the most common Citrix issues related with what the users can do is to create and report an issue, and that will create a multiple reports for the Citrix admin standpoint. I remember on my administration days when an application was not working properly, or probably a server was not accepting connections. If you don't have a good monitoring tool or a way to identify issues, there's the point where just the service start degrading, and then the help desk team reaches out to you and say, you know what, we are having hundreds of calls reporting an application that it's not launching, and that's where you realize that something's going on your environment. So what can do, it's instead your end users going to the help desk and have all the help desk team dedicated to that specific issue. Just they can do it by themselves, report an issue, and you will be aware faster and easily, instead waiting 2-3 hours until everything it's down. If we can show a PowerShell workflow, we are running out of time, but definitely we can. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna write a blog post about the PowerShell workflow, just to show
one thing on that
video.
This configuration setting, actually, you just need to go into the properties. You just need to make under the actual specific tenant. You just need to ensure it's in the docs, which we can share, but you just need to enable the remote PowerShell. But yeah, we can it's a tick box that needs to be done on the tenant on the ServiceNow side. So yeah, but we can follow on with that one with more information.
About the recording of the session, yeah, I believe it's going to be available after this, some days later, on demand, if I don't mistake. Yeah, and I believe that's it.
Cool. I think we have another question. Is there a ServiceNow connector for Horizon similar to this presentation?
You already answered about site aggregation and the reset provisioning comments. You let's say your mic. Can you please place a video? No, you cannot place a VDA on maintenance mode via ServiceNow because it's only read-only access to your Studio console. You still manage your resources from a Studio, and you just automate actions through ServiceNow. The only thing that you can, let's say, automate from the ServiceNow standpoint, it's utilizing the MCS automated a feature to add a virtual machines to a specific machine catalog and delivery group. That was for Jeff.
Yeah, last question. Well, Kurav, if I'm pronouncing it properly, is the Snow integration available with Citrix and AVD Win 10 multi-session use cases? So Daz is monitoring. If Daz is managing that, I guess the answer is yes. Amir, unless you have any other thoughts on that?
I would like to confirm that one. First thing I could say yes, because as you said, you can manage a AVD through Daz, but yeah, let's double check and we'll
take it offline. We can take a note of that one.
Put it offline. for sure.
4 minutes left. Anyone? Any questions?
Yeah,
I
we
see
don't have
Mike.
any
I think
other-
Mike himself, I think, was the one asking about the reset and provisioning commands. Great to hear, Mike. I haven't spoken in a while, but yeah, we'll follow up on that with you. Thanks, Gareth. Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, for Mike, the site aggregation and the comments, you still require the cloud connector to do the site aggregation. So basically, it's a cloud to on-prem communication through the cloud connector to send all the commands for session reset and provisioning. Any other? I think we are good.
Yeah, it's like it. Some great questions there.
Thank you so much, everybody, for
Yeah.
joining the webinar.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to, Amir and Antoine, I'm going to keep the record of the chat and the Q&A, and I'll send that to you in case there's anything you want to address, later. And if you want to share that blog post when you do that with me, or do it for CUGC. I can
Yep.
share it with our comments as well.
I'll send you the
All
link.
right.
Great blog post, actually. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks, Amir. Thanks, Antoine. I think, Antoine, it's like, what time is it for you? It's like dinner time.
7
past dinner
o'clock.
time.
7 o'clock. Yeah. So it's time for beer, I think. So yeah, I will gloat on that. Yeah. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, I'll send out the recording link. It should come to you tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. And we hope to see you at another CUGC event soon. Take care,
Have
everyone.
a good one.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.